I am not a picky or ungrateful person. I genuinely love thoughtful gifts and put real effort into choosing things people will actually enjoy. But my mom has never been a good gift giver. And now that I am older, it feels like she does not listen to anything I say. Sometimes it even feels intentional. I have had to change my diet because of health issues. I avoid sugar, food dyes, and certain additives. I have given my mom clear lists and explained this many times, but every birthday and Christmas, she still gives me food filled with the exact ingredients I cannot eat. I always end up donating or throwing it away, which makes me feel guilty and wasteful, but I literally cannot have it. She does the same thing with my fiance. He is a healthy eater, avoids heavy sugar, and is sensitive to gluten. Instead of respecting that, she makes comments like he needs to live a little, or that he is weird or a health snob for eating clean. We have explained what he does and does not eat, but when she gives him gifts, she ignores all of it. I try to make things easy by sending her lists, links, brand names, and simple, inexpensive options, even compromises on healthier sweets. But she still buys random food with ingredients we do not eat and clutter we would never use. A recent example, she found a giant pickle-shaped gummy because my fiance loved real pickles. I told her it was funny, but he would not eat it and suggested she buy actual pickles instead and send him the picture as a joke. She bought the gummy anyway and gave it to him for his birthday. He thanked her politely, but in the car, he immediately asked if we should just donate it. Part of the problem is that my parents' house has become extremely messy and cluttered over the years. I would not call them hoarders, but there is a lot of junk and general neglect. Growing up, I was embarrassed to have anyone over. After moving out, I realized how much that environment affected me. My mom has always gravitated toward knickknacks, novelty items, and impulse buys, and it carries over into the gifts she gives us. I know this plays a role, but it still hurts when she ignores the things I clearly communicate, especially when she knows about my health issues. I have told her we do not want candy or junk food and have given her plenty of alternatives. She still buys the same things every time and then gets annoyed when we remind her we do not eat them. I love giving thoughtful gifts and listening to what people actually want. So walking away from gift exchanges with my mom always leaves me disappointed and hurt. It feels incredibly one-sided. I have thought about telling her that we do not want gifts at all and would rather just spend time together. But I know that would cause so much drama. I'm getting close to that point because I cannot keep pretending this is fine. I've even brought up doing an experience as a gift, like pottery making or cooking classes. She still gets us junk food or random trinkets which we have no space for, since we are in the process of moving, and I've told you that so many times. This has been going on for years, and with the state of their house and the way my parents avoid responsibility, I also worry about what the future will look like. I love them, but I am exhausted from feeling ignored, guilty, and overwhelmed. I really need advice from anyone who has dealt with something similar, because I have no idea how to set boundaries without it becoming another fight. How do I set firm boundaries without blowing up my relationship? Hi everyone. I, a 30-year-old male, am completely blindsided right now. My partner, a 34-year-old female, and I have been together for over a decade. We have two young kids together, 5 and 1.5 years old, a full life, a home, routines, the usual chaos. A few days ago, she told me she wants to separate. Not just need space, but that her mind is made up. She said she doesn't want to give me false hope and that her feelings have changed. It was cold, abrupt, and so unlike her that I still feel like I'm in shock. What hits me hardest is how certain she seems. She's usually a very thoughtful, calm, long-term thinker, so seeing her make such a huge decision so quickly feels completely out of character. She's been emotionally distant and says she doesn't want to talk about things because it makes her too sad. I'm trying to respect that, but it leaves me feeling completely helpless. I'm with our youngest, who is sick at home right now while she's at work. I want to support her. I want to understand what she's going through, But I also don't want to push or smother. It's painful trying to hold it together for the kids when everything feels like it's falling apart behind the scenes. We're still living under the same roof for now, and with Christmas around the corner and many family events coming up, I don't know how to navigate any of it. Part of me wants to reach out to her family for support because I feel like they have no idea what's going on, but I'm scared it'll make things worse. I'm looking for perspective from maybe people who have experienced something similar and how they navigated it. Some extra context. The last 6 weeks has been tough. I've been let go from my job, but have income insurance for 1 year. So financially, I am okay. But my wife is becoming a partner in January at her small office and has been overwhelmed with work. At the same time, they have moved office and hired 2 employees that she has been training. Outside of her work, she has been heavily involved in politics and has meetings after work 1 to 2 times a week. All this the past 6 weeks. Her reasons have also been confusing. She has given reasons initially about things we have talked about before in our relationship, our different love languages, and my inability to show her love. The way I was uncaring during our first pregnancy, having to walk on eggshells so I don't get annoyed, how she's become a person she doesn't want to be. She wants to focus on herself. She's past the spouse phase of her life. I can only express how hurt I am, full of regret about the things I could have done and said before we had this chat about separation. She's sold on separation and has said she doesn't want to give me false hope, but I convinced her to try couples therapy in 2 weeks. She says she still loves me deeply and wants the best for me, and that she's sure I will find someone I can truly love. She said we're partners and parents for life and will always be in touch until we die. I, a 35-year-old male, live abroad, but every time I am back in town, I usually stay with a pair of longtime friends and their kid, a woman in her 40s and a 19-year-old male. We go way back. They have been through a lot over the years, getting kicked out of places, moving towns, financial struggles, and most recently, their home burned out. I have always tried to be there for them in whatever way I could. Our friendship has always been warm, full of laughter, venting, and support. It felt solid. Before the fire, they asked to borrow money to pay off some debt. I lent it to them and they paid me back on and off. After the fire, they told me they needed to pause repayments. I completely understood and told them to take as long as they needed. I even bought them a new air conditioner, not expecting repayment at all. But I will admit it stung a little when I started seeing their Instagram stories showing new purchases, including a brand new iPhone 17. It made me feel weird because if they could afford that, they could at least pay back something, even a small amount. But I never brought it up. Anyway, here is where everything went sideways. I recently visited for 4 days and stayed at their place as usual. While I was there, I paid for their meals and helped out as a thank you for hosting me. On the day I left, I packed my things, cleaned up, and everything seemed normal. 3 days later, I suddenly received this message from one of them. "Hi, what a horrible human being you are. You have peed in our bed and did not even bother to inform us? Not even an apology? I waited days for you to send me a message for an apology and nothing. Where is your responsibility as a grown adult to clean up after yourself? I am so disappointed." I was completely shocked. I genuinely had no idea I had even done that. I did not feel or smell anything when I woke up. I have never had a history of peeing in bed, at least none that I know of. I replied immediately, explained that I must not have realized it happened, apologized repeatedly, and asked what I could do to make it right. I told them I would never intentionally leave something like that for them to deal with. My messages were not responded to at all, but they continued posting stories and status updates, so they definitely saw it. Look, I understand it is upsetting, but the way it was phrased felt like a full-on attack with no room for explanation, especially given everything I've done for them over the years. It made me feel really hurt and blindsided. One unintentional slip-up and the entire history of our friendship seems erased. How do I process this after everything we've been through? Our marriage has faced incredibly difficult challenges, threatening to unravel everything we've built. When we first met, I was a single mother, owning my home and supporting my 2 young children through a good job. My husband, at the time, was working to establish himself and had some student loan debt. We experienced profound loss together. We faced several pregnancy losses. The most devastating of which was the loss of our son, who passed away just 2 days after birth. It was a time of immense grief, and I felt a deep responsibility to remain strong for my children and provide for their needs. Several years later, the COVID-19 pandemic coincided with a period of depression for my husband following our son's passing. During this time, he made a series of poor financial decisions, resulting in the loss of $160,000 or more. He eventually confessed to me that he had accumulated significant credit card debt and had few options left. I was heartbroken and felt deeply betrayed. The financial security I'd worked so hard to create, both before and during our marriage, seemed to disappear. He assured me this would not happen again, offering me access to his credit card accounts. We secured a home equity loan to address the high interest rates on the credit cards. Just 8 months later, I discovered he had made further damaging financial decisions, losing an additional $70,000. $30,000 were added to his credit card balances, and $40,000 were withdrawn from his retirement savings, a 401k. I asked him to leave our home. He also informed me that he had lost his job at the time. Even speaking about this now is difficult. We're struggling under a mountain of debt, and the prospect of leaving feels overwhelming. We have a daughter together who is now 6 years old, and the thought of dismantling our family for her and my older children who have already endured so much is deeply painful. While I feel a tremendous amount of anger towards his actions, I also recognize that his mother is currently battling cancer, a truly difficult and heartbreaking situation. He isn't currently employed, and it seems I am largely responsible for addressing the substantial debts he has accrued. I'm overwhelmed and searching for a path forward. Has anyone else experienced a situation with this level of financial devastation? Where do I even begin to navigate this? My fiancé, a 28-year-old male, took a 31-year-old female, engagement ring away during a fight. My fiancé and I have been together for 4.5 years. We have lived together for around 3.5. For context, our argument was about household chores, cleaning, etc. We always get into little arguments about this. I feel like I do the majority of the housework and keep things running while also working a full-time job. My job is very stressful, and I am the type of person who gets overstimulated and overwhelmed, probably easier than most. I just want to come home and relax, but I cannot unless the house is clean. He probably thinks I nag all the time. I think he does not help out enough. Long story short, our argument began over an unmade bed. I came home after working a 10-hour shift, and he had been off work all week. I saw the bed was unmade, and I made a petty comment, "Thanks for making the bed." Could I have just let it go and not said anything? Sure, I take accountability for that. He proceeded to tell me that I am impossible to please, I am a perfectionist, and I'm going to end up like my mom, who is single and lives alone by choice. The next day, I go to an appointment and come home to not only my gifts taken from under the Christmas tree, but also my ring was gone. The sad part is, though, I was not even surprised. He loves to take things away from me when he is mad, if he paid for it. We did not talk for 6 days because I refused to ask why he took my ring, knowing he did it as a power tactic. We lived together and neither of us spoke for 6 days until I finally talked to him and asked him why he did it. He said he saw I did not wear my ring that morning and it made him really mad, so instead of letting the ring collect dust, he took it. I understand this sounds so bizarre and immature. I am aware. I think now I am just trying to process what to do. He's acting like everything is fine now, but I do not know if I can get over this. We were engaged for 2 months and this happens. Please give me words of advice, thoughts, etc. In summary, my fiancé took my ring away after an argument when I did not wear it the next morning. We did not talk for 6 days and now he is acting like everything is fine. I, a 37-year-old female, and my boyfriend, a 40-year-old male, have been together for 7 months. We have a great relationship overall. We are living long distance now, but he plans to move to my town mid-next year. He's been a great support as I have been going through a rough time personally these last couple of months. But for some reason, he seems to have snapped. I'm spending Thanksgiving with my sister and her family and my kids. He is by himself in his state. I texted him throughout the day as usual to give him companionship and love. But about halfway through the day, my boyfriend started asking me, "Who is this?" and saying he knows it isn't me talking, which it was. He kept getting more intense, saying I was actually my sister, saying my ex was impersonating me or took control of my phone, and saying this was breaking his heart and that he was concerned whether I was okay. I was trying to tell him I was my normal self, but was preoccupied with family activity, but he wouldn't let it go. My boyfriend then called me that night and I spoke to him, but I was being calm and quiet because I lacked privacy in my sister's house. I answered all of his personal questions and he just kept saying, "What is going on?" and that I was creeping him out. He said my voice didn't sound like me, called me robotic, and said I was an artificial intelligence voice. Shaking my head. Nothing was able to appease him. He ultimately said he would not talk to me until he figured this out. I haven't heard from him all day. We both asked each other if the other had taken something that would change our behavior, and both denied doing so. I'm starting to wonder if he's gone psychotic, but I've known him for 13 years and never seen behavior like this out of him. Does anyone know what is happening with him or how I should respond? I love him and I just want him to believe me, but this was hurtful too.